To today's daily word. As you can see, I decided to come outside this morning to the shelter beside the church. It is a beautiful morning, and so I decided to come out here for today. Maybe the rest of the week we'll see how that goes, but thanks for joining me for our time together. Daily word number 734, and so we continue our long journey together. And you always know that I'm grateful that you've decided to carve out some time to be with me and to share your life with me and to say good morning or good afternoon and to continue this ongoing conversation. So it's Wednesday in the middle of this week. Just a reminder for those of you who watch daily who aren't aware, next week we will be on mission trip. We will be in Deer Lodge, Tennessee, and there will not be a daily word next week every day at 10 o'clock. Even if I could, cell service and especially internet service are sketchy at best there. So there will not be a daily word next week. So you'll rejoin me then Monday, June 19th, believe it or not, for our ongoing conversation. But just to let you know ahead of time where we are. And a reminder that Sunday morning, weather permitting, we're going to be outside for worship. We're going to be here in the shelter. Bring your chairs, dress casually, and plan to join us. We have great worship planned, of course, and then we'll be commissioning folks who are going on the mission trip, and then we'll be doing a prayer circle in the parking lot before we get in our cars and leave. So hopefully you'll join us for that. So I've chosen for this morning for our scripture 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 3. And keep the charge of the Lord your God, walking in his ways, and keeping his statutes, his commandments, his rules, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that you may prosper in all that you do, wherever you turn. It's interesting that these ancient words that are given to us throughout the entirety of Scripture are meant for a certain audience at the time, of course. Folks wanted God to appoint kings, and so God did that very thing. These things are for appointed times and places. But then they come to us in these days, all these thousands of years later, and they're a reminder to us of how God continues to speak to us through our lives together, how God continues to move and shape us through Scripture and what God has already given. So we hear this, and I think it's powerful words for us to listen to as we live our lives. You know, we live in challenging times, but we've always lived in challenging times. We're unsure of the future. We've always been unsure of the future. You know, we always have to grapple for what's next. We always have to put ourselves out there, to follow God's lead, no matter when in history it's been. You know, I know people think so, but I don't believe these times are any worse than any other times or any better than any other times. We're called to this text this morning. I think it's powerful for us. God has given us a charge, a command, a directive to love and serve God, to love others as ourselves, and to be witnesses in this challenging world that we live in. And the charge, you see, extends through all the arenas of our lives. When we're having difficult times, we're still charged to love. When we are bored, when we don't think there's enough for us to do, we're charged to love. When we're successful, when we have all that we need and we're just living on top of the world, we're charged to love. Everything, every single thing that God has given us by way of direction, his laws, his statutes, whatever it is, whatever God's given us is an invitation to love. Whatever we have, material possessions, you know, all the things in our lives, our bank accounts, it's an invitation to love. By carrying God's charge with us wherever we go, walking in God's ways through thick and thin, keeping God's directives, even when they're inconvenient. And when we do that, then it seems to me that we take on the ability to transform circumstances, to make the world, to make the conditions, to make the people around us a better place. Things don't have the same way for us to be successful. We carry it with us. Circumstances don't have to align for peace to occur. We inhabit a peace that passes all kinds of understanding. All that we have, all that we are, all that we ever claim to be, all our possessions, our bank accounts, all that we have, they are for naught if we don't choose to use it for the place and the charge God has called us and placed upon us. Hear that again. No matter how much or how little we have, it is all only for naught if we decide to use it only for ourselves rather than for the charge that God has placed upon us. When we are faithful in that charge, to keep the charge of the Lord your God, everything we do, everything we are, everything we ever wanted to be, everything we encounter in our lives, in that we find meaning and success and greatness and hope and joy and love. I think this call is so powerful today, in these days we live in. You know, keep the charge. You and I have been given this charge. Walk in God's ways, keep God's statutes, keep God's commandments, God's rules, God's testimonies, that we might prosper in whatever we do and wherever we turn. And so, friends, you know, we're called this charge to love others as ourselves, no matter the circumstance, no matter how bleak we think the world is or how great we think the world is. We're called to love others as ourselves in all the areas of our lives. And that's what we're called to. And that's a charge that we're called to keep, that we just can't walk away from. Because we're followers, we're people of the covenant, we're people of the way, you know, we're God's people. And so I hope that you and I could find ways in all of this life to live out the covenant and the call that God has given to us in all of our lives. So, thanks for joining me for this morning. Thanks for being with me outside on this beautiful day. I pray you'll know of God's love that surrounds you, know of my love for you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and then again on Friday, Sunday morning for worship, and then we'll have a break as we're on mission trip. Have a great day.